Mega test. Inner self-exploration. Sometimes you feel that something inside you is asking for attention. Not loudly, not clearly. Just a quiet sense that something matters. This test is not about answers. It's about noticing. Take a breath. Let your shoulders relax. There are no right choices here. No wrong ones. You'll go through several rounds. With each one, listen a little less to your thoughts and a little more to what you feel. Trust the first reaction. What part of you needs attention right now? Round 1. Look at these 3 objects: a mirror, a closed door, an empty notebook. Don't analyze. Notice which one feels familiar. Pause. If the mirror stood out, the part of you that needs attention is how you see yourself. Your self-image, your inner dialogue. You spend a lot of time evaluating who you should be. But part of you wants to be seen without judgment. Attention is needed where self-criticism has become familiar. If the closed door stood out, the part of you that needs attention is your boundaries, what you allow, what you tolerate. You often keep going even when something inside wants to stop. Attention is needed where you've been pushing through instead of listening. If the empty notebook stood out, the part of you that needs attention is your inner voice. Thoughts, feelings, ideas. You hold a lot inside without giving it form. Attention is needed where expression has been delayed. Something in you wants to be written, spoken, or shared. Round 2. What you're avoiding right now. Look at these 3 objects: an open message, an unfinished task, a turning point road. Don't analyze. Notice which one feels familiar. Pause. If the open message stood out, what you're avoiding is a conversation. Something that needs to be said or answered. You know what the message means, but responding feels emotionally loaded. Avoidance here is not fear of words, it's fear of what may change once they are spoken. If the unfinished task stood out, what you're avoiding is closure. You started something with intention, but completing it feels heavier than expected. Finishing would mean accepting an outcome. Avoidance here is not laziness, it's hesitation to face the result. If the turning point road stood out, what you're avoiding is a decision. A moment where direction matters. Staying where you are feels safer than choosing a path. Avoidance here is not confusion. It's knowing that once you move forward, there is no return to before. Round 3. What you're carrying that isn't yours. Look at these 3 objects: a heavy backpack, someone else's coat, a fragile box. Don't analyze. Notice which one feels familiar. Pause. If the heavy backpack stood out, what you're carrying is responsibility that accumulated over time. Tasks, expectations, roles. You became reliable early. Others leaned on you. What you carry now feels normal, even when it's too much. But not all weight belongs to you. Some of it was never yours to begin with. If someone else's coat stood out, what you're carrying are other people's emotions. Their moods, their worries, their reactions. You adapted to keep the peace. You learned to wear what wasn't yours. What you carry now keeps you warm, but restricts movement. Relief begins when you take it off. If the fragile box stood out, what you're carrying is something delicate. A promise, a secret, a responsibility to protect. You handle it carefully, afraid of breaking it. What you carry demands constant attention. But fragility should not rest on one person alone. Some things need shared care. Round 4. What you're afraid to want. Look at these 3 objects. A spotlight. Open hands. An empty calendar. Don't analyze. Notice which one feels familiar. Pause. If the spotlight stood out, what you're afraid to want is visibility, to be seen, to be noticed. You learn to stay modest, to stay quiet. Wanting attention feels risky, but hiding also has a cost. Part of you wants to step forward without apology. If the open hands stood out, what you're afraid to want is support. Receiving, depending, allowing help. You learn to manage on your own. Wanting support feels like weakness, but connection requires openness. What you want is not too much. It's human. If the empty calendar stood out, what you're afraid to want is freedom. Time without plans, space without demands. You learn to stay productive, to stay needed. Wanting less structure feels irresponsible, but freedom is where clarity appears. Part of you wants room to breathe. Round 5. What you're ready to let go of. Look at these 3 objects. Old keys. A cracked mirror. An overpacked suitcase. Don't analyze. Notice which one feels familiar. Pause. If the old keys stood out, what you're ready to let go of are old roles, things that once fit, but no longer open anything. You kept holding on out of habit, out of loyalty to the past, but you already changed. Letting go here creates space for something new. If the cracked mirror stood out, what you're ready to let go of is a distorted self-image. Old judgments, harsh labels. You learn to see yourself through criticism, but that reflection no longer tells the truth. Letting go here means seeing yourself with more honesty and less punishment. If the overpacked suitcase stood out, what you're ready to let go of is excess. Too many expectations, too many obligations. You carried everything just in case, but it made movement harder. Letting go here means choosing what truly matters. Lightness is becoming possible. This test wasn't about answers. It was about noticing patterns, reactions, parts of yourself. If something resonated, share your result in the comments. You can also tell me which part of the test felt most accurate. And if you enjoy calm psychological tests and self-reflection like this, you're welcome to subscribe. More insights are coming.